Welcome back to Askewed Reviews. And since it's still Shark Week, we are going to do the 1978 horror adventure thriller Jaws 2. Here is your trivia question for today. In the first Jaws film, Spielberg named the three mechanical sharks Bruce after his lawyer. What were the names of the three sharks used for this film? The answer will be at the end of this video. So it has now been 4 years since the last film took place, and we come back to Amity Island. We start off with a couple of scuba divers who are checking out the wreck from the Orca, the ship from the first movie. Unfortunately for the two of them, they are attacked by something in the water. Then a mangled killer whale shows up on the beach as well. Also, some sort of accident seems to occur with a speedboat and a water skier. Now, because it's a Jaws film, we of course have the Brody family. Sheriff Martin Brody, played by Roy Scheider, and Ellen Brody, played by Lorraine Gary. Now, since it's been 4 years, both Mike and Sean have grown up a bit. Now, of course, since this stuff starts occurring, Sheriff Brody is on the case. Unfortunately, though, he does cause a public scene where he even shoots off his firearm in what ends up being a false alarm. This unfortunately allows the local government to fire Brody, as they've been trying to sweep everything under the rug once again. Murray Hamilton reprises his role as the mayor in this film, but we have a new character that's on the city council named Len Peterson, played by Joseph Mascolo, who also happens to be Ellen's new boss. Since once again no one is listening to Sheriff Brody, Mike and Sean decide that they're going to go sailing with all of their friends. Unfortunately for all of them, they seem to have attracted the attention of a new friend. Now, will Martin Brody be able to find and save the children in time? Originally, they wanted Steven Spielberg and Richard Dreyfuss to be involved in the movie as well, but they were both working on Close Encounters of the Third Kind and couldn't be involved. Jeannot Swa was the director brought in to replace Steven Spielberg. Apparently, Swa and Scheider never got along throughout the entire filming of the movie. There were also some other possible directors, including John Frankenheimer and Otto Preminger. In fact, John D. Hancock was originally hired on to direct, but unfortunately he had some arguments on set which caused him to be fired. There were even some actors that were already hired that got dropped as well due to Hancock leaving. For instance, the character of Len Peterson was originally going to be played by Dana Elcar. Mike was going to be played by Tegan West, and Sean was going to be played by Ricky Schroeder. Now, when it came to filming, all of the town scenes were actually still filmed in Martha's Vineyard, just like the first film, but all of the scenes out on the water were actually filmed in Fort Walton Beach, Florida. When talk of doing a Jaws sequel came about, the original idea was to do a prequel movie that was involving the scene that Quint talks about with the USS Indianapolis. One of the things this film is very well known for is having one of the top taglines in movie history: just when you thought it was safe to go back in the water. This film also sparked a huge influx of Jaws merchandise. Something you may or may not have noticed in the film is the Brody household has a planter out front, which is actually one of the yellow barrels from the ship in the first film that both Brody and Hooper used to float back to shore with. Something you can also notice in the background is a wet bike. This actually first appeared in the James Bond film The Spy Who Loved Me, and then made a reappearance in this film. This is also the original technology that eventually led to jet skis. The cameraman for this film actually purchased a saddle, so when he was doing the camera angles from the shark's point of view, he could actually ride more comfortably. The lighthouse that appears in the movie was actually constructed to give the area more of a New England feel. It was actually an 80-foot tall structure. The Cable Junction Island was also created for this film out of fiberglass and plastic. It was apparently extremely slippery to walk on. All of the young actors in this film actually received 4 weeks of sailing training before the film started. There was at one point where all of the kids are on the big ramshackle parts of the boats put together, where there was actually a hammerhead shark circling them. So when they were screaming and trying to get the attention of the crew, it was not actually to be part of the performance. This film has a body count of 8, 7 people and 1 orca. So when it comes to the film Jaws 2, they may have lost Steven Spielberg, but it actually was still a very entertaining film in my opinion. So I'm going to give this movie a 4 out of 5. As for the trivia question from the beginning of this episode, in the first Jaws film, Spielberg named the three mechanical sharks Bruce after his lawyer. What were the names of the three sharks used for this film? So, unfortunately, due to the salt water, all of the three Bruces from the original film rotted away. So, they built three new mechanical sharks. And in this film, they are named Bruce 2, Fidel, and Harold, the last one named after another lawyer. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Askewed Reviews. If there's a movie you'd like to see get a review, just mention it in the comments. And as always, like, comment, share, and subscribe.